Dr. Corby is my date.
Lieutenant Spock, Ethan Peck, and Nurse Christine Chapel, Jess Bush, narrowly avoid being tricked into marriage in Star Trek: Strange New Worlds Season 3, Episode 2. Wedding Bell Blues is a joyous comedic masterpiece written by Kirsten Beyer and David Reed, and directed by Jordan Canning, that brings back a familiar space god from Star Trek, the original series. Ultimately, Spock avoids marrying Chapel, who is in love with her new boyfriend, Dr. Roger Corby, Killian O'Sullivan. Wedding Bell Blues allows Spock to move on from Christine, possibly into the arms of his new dance partner. Meanwhile, a new love may bloom for Ensign Nyota Uhura, Celia Rose Gooding, while Lieutenant Erica Ortegas, Melissa Navia, copes with her trauma from the Gorn. Star Trek: Strange New Worlds Season 3, Episode 2 also reveals that Captain Marie Battelle, Melanie Scrofano, has had 3 months to recover from her Gorn infection, which has been absorbed into her DNA. Dr. Joseph Mbenga, Babs Alyasamikan, also favors his new help in sickbay, Ensign Dana Gamble, Chris Myers. Here's what Wedding Bell Blues ending means for the crew of the USS Enterprise. Was Rhys Darby playing Trelane in Star Trek: Strange New Worlds? Trelane in Strange New Worlds avoids breaking Star Trek canon. Although he is never named in Star Trek: Strange New Worlds Season 3, Episode 3, Rhys Darby evidently plays Trelane, the 8,020-year-old space god played by William Campbell in Star Trek, the original series. The Squire of Gahos. Trelane goes incognito as Spock's wedding planner after answering the forlorn Vulcan's wish that things could be different between him and Nurse Chapel. The wedding planner warped reality to bring about Spock and Chapel's wedding instead of the United Federation of Planets centennial celebration. Trelane's meddling in favor of Spock was also because the cosmic trickster inexplicably dislikes Dr. Roger Corby. Trelane saw Corby digging in the dirt on the old homeworld, and was irritated by how handsome Roger is. Trelane followed Corby to Starbase 1 and decided to help Spock to ruin Corby's love story with Chapel. Trelane even turned Corby into a dog during the wedding ceremony. It's possible that the space godchild doesn't choose to call himself General Trelane retired, and the Squire of Gahos, until Star Trek, the original series. Star Trek: Strange New Worlds cleverly avoids violating Star Trek, the original series canon, because Trelane never shows his true appearance to the crew of the USS Enterprise. Spock saw Trelane as a Vulcan bartender turned wedding planner, while the rest of the USS Enterprise crew in Trelane's thrall saw him as an Andorian. The audience saw Trelane's preferred human-like, but no one on the Enterprise will until Star Trek, the original series. John de Lancie cameos as another space god. That is indeed Q's familiar voice. Trelane father. Just like in Star Trek, the original series. The Squire of Gahos. Trelane's father arrives just in time to stop him from killing the entire crew of the Starship Enterprise. Trelane's dad is voiced by John de Lancie, who played Q in Star Trek, The Next Generation and various other series, including Star Trek, Picard. Star Trek: Strange New Worlds doesn't identify Trelane's dad as a member of the Q continuum, but John de Lancie lending his voice is a nod to the long-time belief that Trelane is one of the Q. However, Strange New Worlds doesn't confirm this either way, but nods towards the idea by casting John de Lancie as Trelane's father's voice. Star Trek: Strange New Worlds is the first time John de Lancie plays a different space god other than Q, if he, indeed, didn't reprise his iconic role in Wedding Bell Blues. It's unlikely John de Lancie is playing Q in Star Trek: Strange New Worlds, but the series also doesn't confirm or deny this by his guest voice appearance. Since Q isn't known to have children until the 24th century in Star Trek: Voyager, John de Lancie's surprise cameo seems to be a fun Easter egg for Star Trek fans. How Spock broke Trelane's spell over Nurse Chapel. Spock's understanding of his human emotions served him well. Lieutenant Spock called upon everything he learned about his human emotions to break Trelane's spell over Nurse Christine Chapel. When Roger Corby was able to snap Spock back to reality, he did it by angering the Vulcan enough that Spock punched him. Spock and Corby surmised that anger and adrenaline could be the key to overcoming Trelane's hold on reality, When exchanging vows at their wedding, however, Spock determined that Christine was also struggling with Trelane's false reality, and knew how to push her to regain her senses. Spock quoted Pablo Neruda's poem that led to Corby and Christine falling in love, and their quote about the sun, the moon, and the stars. This was enough to bring Christine to her senses. Thanks for watching.